Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Senyera Podcast episode. My name is Bryan. I'm your host for this episode. With me, I have Adeeb. Thank you for joining me, Adeeb.
Hey, what's up?
I also have Matthew with me. Hey, Matthew.
Hey, man, how's it going?
Going good, man. And finally, we also have Theo for this episode. How are you, Theo?
All good, man. Thanks for having me. Hopefully everybody's doing well.
That's great to hear, man. Hopefully everyone here is doing well. Everyone listening to this episode is also doing well. These are very difficult, and unprecedented times. So take care out there, wash your hands, wear a mask, and the proper safety guidelines. Now, in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about Setien, our UEFA Champions League expectations, changes in the squad that should occur, who needs to stay, who needs to go. And at the end, we'll let each and every one of the members have their little opinion section where they can just speak on the current state of the club, which personally I would say is quite saddening. Well, let me start off with Matthew. Matthew, how are you? Hopefully you're good today. I want to ask you about Setien. So far, how do you see Setien as manager of Barcelona with the Liga currently just ended a few days ago? What are your expectations for him in the following matches? And do you think he'll be here for next season, or will he be replaced?
Well, when Setien was appointed, I was actually pretty hyped. I was a fan of the guy ever since he was coaching Las Palmas. The football displayed in that very team and with Real Betis was entertaining, something I tuned in every week to watch. But after the very first few weeks, after he tried to implement his 3-5-2 with Ansu and Jordi Alba as wingbacks, we saw something interesting. The fitness was improving in the team. There was an idea on how the possession was being used. But after that loss to Valencia and the pressure being on him, everything changed. He went back to the 4-3-3 and the football gradually became worse. Like we switched back to Valverde. He's not trying to implement his own ideas anymore. Instead of dying with his own idea, he's just playing with what he has, like Valverde used to do. So yeah, I am disappointed, although I do believe he deserves another chance to try to implement his ideas in a preseason with no extra pressure to just win a title in less than 6 months. I'm not very optimistic when it comes to the Champions League. I would rather get eliminated versus Napoli than get humiliated against Bayern, who are like the best team alongside Paris Saint-Germain and Manchester City. And I would like if he remains as a coach next season, and I think he will, because let's be honest, after the coronavirus break and the Euro being postponed in 2021, no sane coach would accept to work for Barcelona right now in this turmoil and civil war going on between the board and the players as well as the journalists.
Thank you, Matt, for your input. Yeah, I kind of agree with your points, and I'm also hopeful that he can be our head coach for next season. I really don't like judging players, and in this case, managers, for such a short period. 6 months, you could say, but actually it's less because of the coronavirus break. So I think Setien only played like 9 games, if I'm not mistaken. It's a very short amount of time. I think it's the same scenario with Coutinho a few years back when he bought him back in January. He only played half a season, so you can't really judge a player, or you can't really judge a coach, like I said in the scenario, on such a short amount of time. It's got to be a full season, and sometimes even 2 seasons to really see how that's going to affect the team long term. Adeeb, what are your thoughts on Setien? Do you think he'll be the manager next season? Were you pleased with his current performances and his current team selection, his tactics, his philosophy, what he wanted to bring to the team? What are your overall thoughts?
I guess more or less it's the same as Matthew. I was really happy when Setien was first appointed to give him some slack, I guess. When he was appointed, the squad did have a lot of injuries, with the likes of Dembele being out, Suarez being out, and etc. It got to a point where there was an emergency signing with Braithwaite. So I'll give him the slack for that. And in all fairness, he came into a mess with everything Valverde left behind. So I think it'd be fair to only judge him when he's given a full preseason and a full season. So let's see how that works out for him. But overall, I'm not fully happy with Setien just yet, but it'd be more fair to judge him over a full season. And maybe we'll see what signings he brings in this coming window. That's what I think so far.
Thank you, Adeeb, for your input. Theo, what about you? What are your thoughts on Setien, his coaching, tactics, philosophy, his style, what he brought to the team? What are your overall thoughts?
Yeah, well, I kind of don't want to overlap what both already said. So I think they pretty much summarized it all. Basically, we had pretty high expectations, knowing how Valverde brought this team literally to hell with his poor tactics and poor management style, and knowing how Setien coached with Betis, we had pretty high expectations for him. And as soon as he came, we were like, okay, he's gonna have a Cruyff mentality, and he's gonna implement Barca ideology and whatnot. And I think in the first few games, or rather first few weeks, we did see that how the play style, and we did see some improvement compared to Valverde's team. But I think with the management, Barca's management and displeasure of all the players, for example, when you think of Messi as well, it kind of did not help Setien settle down and have a good tenure so far. And Adeeb already said, basically, he's been only here for 6 months, so it's kind of hard to judge, and you can't blame him for having a few bad games because he took over a squad mid-season. And with, like I said, with the management being in shambles, it's kind of hard to blame everything on him. Sure, he could have done some things better probably, but I think we should, for now at least, we should keep him and give him basically a second chance and start fresh with the potentially new players, a potentially new squad, and start from scratch and see where they go from there.
Well, thank you, Theo. Let's move on to our next topic, UEFA Champions League expectations. As it's been decided, there's going to be a match against Napoli, which is going to be closed doors, but in the Camp Nou in Spain. What are your overall thoughts? What are your expectations for this following match? Do you think we can win against Napoli as the team currently is? This is very weird of a scenario, I would say, because usually the Liga is already ended, right? But not the season overall. There's still UEFA Champions League to be played. How would you think the players are affected on a moral standpoint, having lost the Liga and going to play against Napoli? Would they shift their focus and, hey, we already lost the Liga, we already lost Copa del Rey, let's try to make something out of the UEFA Champions League? Or are they hit and could possibly go on a bad foot heading into this match? What are your thoughts, Adeeb, for this match against Napoli? And I would also like for you guys to your thoughts, to comment your thoughts on if we win against Napoli, possibly facing Bayern in the next stage of the competition. What do you guys think? What do you think, Adeeb?
In all honesty, the first leg result against Napoli for Barca standards over recent years in away games was actually one of the better ones, in all honesty. Getting a 1-1 result away from home with that crucial away goal. But like Messi pointed out just last week, if Barca keeps playing the way they have been playing since the restart, Napoli will knock us out. But with all that being said, like you mentioned, how will the players come in thinking, with losing the cup and the league? I have a feeling they'll go into the Champions League with the mindset they have nothing to lose. Because, to be honest, Barcelona are not favorites. I can think of 3-4 teams who are much more likely to win as opposed to Barcelona. So I think that's the mindset they'll go into this with. I think we'll beat Napoli, but barely. And with regards to Bayern Munich are a clear favorite. They've probably been the best team since the restart. I have Bayern as favorites, but with the new format of the Champions League where it's only one leg at a neutral venue, anything can happen in a single-legged knockout game. I still have Bayern as favorite. I see us going through Napoli, but that's about it. But anything can happen. So, yeah, those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Adeeb. Well, obviously, always hoping for the best for the club. Hopefully, we put on a good display. Theo, what do you think about the Napoli match in the UEFA Champions League and possibly going on to face Bayern if we win against Napoli? Do you think, what are your expectations for a Champions League run and not ending the season trophyless? What are your thoughts?
Well, to be fair, it's a good point saying like that we would rather not go trophyless, but let's be realistic. It's most likely not going to happen. And I mean, well, rather it will happen. So we will most likely go trophyless. Yeah, as sad as it is to say, and like we've been Barca fans for such a long time, and like going trophyless is such a big thing. But now, like we have to think, like focus everything and like focus all our mindset on the game. And I think it's going to be hard. I'm not going to lie, because we've seen how Messi, for example, is disappointed and frustrated with the board, and it seems like there's a lack of willingness to win, lack of like motivation, in the dressing room. So it's definitely not going to be an easy fixture. And as Adeeb mentioned, basically the fact that it's going to be a one-legged tie in a neutral stadium is going to be an interesting matchup, because it's the way Barca have been playing post deconfinement. It's not been how can I say it, Champions League worthy basically, and in my opinion, we have like much better candidates in Bayern and Man City. So I believe that facing Napoli, we might have a chance, if players go all in. But then should we win against them and go on to face Bayern, that's going to be a whole different challenge, and it's definitely not going to be easy. I believe that Manchester City are favorites to win the way they've been playing recently. If Pep manages to have proper tactics in place and whatnot. So yeah, it'll be interesting to watch Barca, but I wouldn't say to like don't put your hopes too up, or else we'll just be disappointed.
Thank you, Theo. Interesting points. What about you, Matthew? Do you think Barcelona is capable of pushing against Napoli and heading on to face Bayern? What are your thoughts on this topic, Matthew?
Well, as I said in the previous question when asked about Setien, I said that I would rather lose to Napoli than advance and get humiliated against Bayern, because let's be honest, they're the best team in Europe right now, alongside Liverpool. Luckily, Liverpool are not in the Champions League anymore. Man City and Paris Saint-Germain. The thing is, I don't think we will lose to Napoli, because obviously we will have the stadium advantage, even if there are no fans. Camp Nou is a really wide stadium, so it would naturally help us in playing our way, playing position. I think that if we advance and face Bayern, we will we will of course have a chance. It's just a one game tie, but we will either win very narrowly or get humiliated. They have really good players. They have Thiago in midfield. They have Alphonso Davies at left back. Imagine Davis facing either Semedo or Sergio Roberto. It's not going to end well, especially with Lewandowski and the box. Historically, we've never won the Champions League without La Liga. So yeah, we will most probably lose to Bayern, and Bayern will win the Champions League.
Well, thank you, Matthew, for your input. I like to be somewhat optimistic, you could say, and always, have that thinking, that mentality that Barcelona could push for every single title, every single season. I've thought that way for years now. But, through the season, you encounter problems that you didn't think about. and then you're out of La Copa del Rey, and then you're out of La Liga currently, and right now the only hope to not ending the season trophyless is winning the UEFA Champions League. But we have to face very strong teams that are Napoli, that is right in front of us right now. And if we win against them, we have to go against a Bayern Munich that is on a high right now, you could say. They just won Bundesliga. They won it just a couple of match days after their league restarted. So it would be tough to overcome Napoli and then go against this Bayern, which is playing really well, I would say.
And they're on the course to win the treble.
Imagine that. They're focused. They already won La Liga. They already won their domestic cup. So they would just have to win UEFA Champions League. That's the only thing on their mind right now. In a normal season, you have Liga games, league games every 3 days, and then every month, every 2 weeks, you have UEFA Champions League games, and their mentality shifts. But right now, they are only focused on the UEFA Champions League, so that makes them, I would say, dangerous. They're focused team. They know what their goal is. It would be tough if we overcome Napoli and go on to face Bayern. It would be really tough, but hopefully we can pull it off against Napoli, one game at a time. And if we do win against Napoli, put on a good display against Bayern. That would be good. One game at a time to have hopes, right? Just to have hope to not end the season trophyless. Well, moving on to the next topic, I want to ask you guys about the current squad. We saw some very drastic changes with the departure of Malcolm. Setien also was sold at the start of the season, right? Before the preseason, if I'm not mistaken. Griezmann's signing, that was new. As in every other transfer windows, there were talk about Neymar. We've been talking about a Neymar return for years now. But I want to hear your thoughts on the transfers, departures, and signings, and who has to stay and who has to leave. What are your opinions on these players? Who has to stay and who has to leave? Theo, would you like to go first?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So I'll start by the players who have to leave. So we'll kind of start with the less fun aspect and then finish off on a good note. So for the players that have to leave, as much as it'll pain our fans to hear, I think Rakitic has to go. I mean, it's been on for a while now, and it's been going on for like a couple of years now, with the rumors of him going back to Sevilla or settling in Paris. So I think he's aging, and we can see it in the way he plays. I mean, as I said, like he's done his part. He helped us win the Champions League back against Juventus, and yeah, I think now for him would be a good time to go. Another player I think that should go is probably, I mean, as much as it's painful to say, maybe loan him or sell him. I don't know, but Dembele, I mean, ever since that guy came, he's been just like a walking glass. So like injury after injury. I think he literally missed more matches than he played games. He used to be a world-class talent. Some people even said that he might be the next Messi by the way he played with Stade Rennais back in the time, and even with Dortmund. But this guy is just now just like literally as soon as he walks on the pitch or even in training, dude injures himself. So I think at least maybe loan him or worst case sell him. And yeah, that would be my two players that like need to definitely be offloaded, along probably others, but that would be my two main ones. Now onto the ones that should come back or be bought. I would say Coutinho. I think we were not fair to him by the way we treated him, and you know, he definitely has potential, and even the way he was playing with Bayern, I think we should call him back from his loan and give him another chance. If played properly in the proper position with the proper management, I think he can do great things and definitely help us achieve great things and bring some trophies back home. So Coutinho would be definitely one of them. I think another striker would be also a very good acquisition. So I'm not too fond of Martinez. I'm more of a Timo Werner fan. I don't watch Serie A that much, so I don't know how good Martinez is, and yeah, so I think another signing that would be beneficial, seeing how Suarez plays. So Suarez is good, but he's very irregular. I think that another striker would be good, and that would be like my two main priorities if we need to sign someone.
Thank you, Theo, for your input. I forgot to ask, but I would like to hear your thoughts, Theo. And then the previous question about departures and signings, but also include this, Adeeb and Matthew. Theo, what do you think about how we handled Arthur's transfer or swap, you would say, with Juventus for Pjanic? What are
You
your
know
thoughts on
what?
that?
Yeah, so thank you very much for actually reminding us about that, because I think it's a pretty important aspect to address, and it's a turning point in this season for Barca. I think, again, pretty much like Coutinho, I'll be probably repeating myself when I say that we treated him unfairly. Maybe like the way he was playing, I don't think he's the future Xavi or future Iniesta, but he definitely has some potential. And the way he's playing for a 23-year-old, again, with proper management and proper coaching and proper squad, proper teammates, who are there to help him and coach him, he would have been like probably very decent for Barca and like very good. But swapping him for a 30-year-old midfielder who's barely good and barely a starter with Juventus, like I don't think that's a good deal. I mean, we got 10 million back. I think we've done him dirty, and again, like Coutinho, and like I said, it's unfair treatment. And yeah, personally, I would have liked to see him maybe at least for a couple more seasons. He only came here for a year, and now it was his dream club, and he didn't want to leave. And it's like the board didn't care about him. It's not like he was bad. So yeah, it was definitely unfair, and I think he definitely deserved to stay.
Thank you, Theo. Thank you. Adeeb, what are your thoughts of the current squad Barcelona has? Some would say we have a very aging squad that's not really capable for the future. We usually don't keep young players here. They're all sold off, like Malcolm. We see right now with Arthur. Who do you think Barca should sell of the current squad, and who do you think we should sign or bring back, such as Coutinho that's on loan at Bayern, for the current squad? And I want to also hear your thoughts about the Arthur situation, how we handle that with Juventus. What are your thoughts, Adeeb?
This I'll try and keep it short. Let's start with departures per se. I'll agree with Theo. I think as much as Rakitic has been better for his standards after the restart, I think Rakitic needs to go. One player I'm surprised Theo didn't mention was Umtiti. I think Umtiti needs to go. I don't know who's going to buy him, but I think Umtiti needs to go for sure. Kind of leaning towards Dembele as well. I really want to see him succeed at the club, but like Bryan, like Theo said, anytime this guy walks onto the field or walks onto a training session, he gets injured. Those are the players off the top of my head. I'm sure there could be more that come to my head, but those three in particular for sure. In terms of who I'd like to see bring back, I think Coutinho under Setien would be interesting. It'd be nice to see how Setien would use him. In terms of, I think Lautaro Martinez would be I wouldn't say, I guess he'd be a good signing, but when we signed Griezmann last summer, we thought, he would be replacing Suarez up top. But if we sign Martinez and we still keep playing Suarez week in, week out for 90 minutes, I don't see the point in signing Martinez if we're going to play him on the wing. So I think he'd be a good signing, but I definitely think Barcelona needs a striker. With regards to the Arthur departure, it's sad to see him go, but if you look at it in one way, I think it was 75 million that Juve offered. So initially you think, okay, 75 million for Arthur, you take that. I would have taken it, so because I'm thinking, okay, Ricky Puig could get more playing time now. But then you use that 75 million to get a 30-year-old Pjanic, and basically you're counterproductive in terms of letting Ricky Puig not play. So that's just my thoughts on it. I think if we just sold Arthur and that way Puig could play more, it would have been good. But you sell him and then you get the exact same type of player except older. It kind of lets you know how poor the management is at this club. So those are my thoughts.
Well, thank you, Adeeb, for your input. Matthew, what are your thoughts about the current squad? Who should stay? Who should we sell? Who should we keep? Who should we bring back from our current loanees? And who should we sign? But I also want you to give your thoughts about the Arthur situation, how we handle that with the Juventus swap.
Oh my God, where do I start? Am I allowed to curse in this podcast?
We better not, just to keep within the YouTube guidelines.
Yeah, sure. I think we need a squad overhaul. There are a lot of players that need to go because they are simply not good enough. Good, maybe good for sure, but not good enough for Barcelona. As Xavi said, we only need A+ players, not B+. Neto, he's not good. He was brought only to cook the books between Barcelona and Valencia. Same thing in the Arthur situation, which I will talk about later. Semedo, I think he should go because he's been here for 3 seasons and he hasn't developed even a bit. I would keep Sergio Roberto even if I think he's a little bit cancerous. One of the members of Club de Amigos, so to say, but he could be very valuable because at least he's an intelligent player when it comes to build up and utilizing with. That's the thing. When a midfielder stretches play and plays better as a right back than a player who was formed to be a right back, you know that player should leave. Umtiti, of course, and Dembele as well, because they are not reliable when it comes to their fitness. Jordi Alba, because after Anfield, he is dusted, finished mentally, and in terms of his ability, even his pace, it doesn't matter for much right now. Even every time he is confronted with very coordinated pressing, he starts to hoof the ball. Not much to change in midfield. Of course, get rid of Rakitic and Vidal, and I would be not against San Suarez, but not for it either. It depends on what type of player we're replacing him with. Lautaro is a really good shout, but 110 million euros for a player who just had his first full season at Inter Milan, playing as a support striker, the same position Griezmann occupied with France or with Atletico Madrid. Not exactly a wise investment. We should invest instead on fullbacks, like Ricardo Pereira, who plays at Leicester. He's at his peak right now, 27 years of age, or Montiel, who plays with River Plate. There have been rumors we are negotiating with Eric Garcia from Manchester City, or Joao Cancelo, Pau Torres as well, the player from Villarreal who scored an own goal in the recent game, one of the best games of the season. I would call back Carles Alenia, and try to sign a winger or two because we're really lacking in that department. And David Alaba as well. He has 1 year left in his contract, and Bayern don't want to lose him on a free. Anywho, when it comes to the Arthur situation, to not fool ourselves, the board sold him and signed Pjanic simply to cook the books and balance everything up. I think we should have treated him a little bit better, but here we are. It's not a tremendous loss in terms of sporting decision because, let's be honest, Pjanic is more vertical in terms of passing and movement than Arthur, who is more of a conservative ball recycling player. And we get to use, what's his name, Ricky Puig more frequently, and who has shown to be a very valuable player this season.
against Atletico Madrid, then against other sides. Like recently, he has 2 assists to his name against Alaves. That's it. That's it for me.
Well, thank you, Matthew. Well, I think this would conclude the main topics that we had planned for this podcast. It's been a long time since we had a podcast, and a lot has changed in the club. Valverde was abruptly fired out of nowhere. Setien's signing gave us a little bit of hope. There may be something that I didn't specifically ask you guys, but you would have liked to say, and that's this section right here, your personal opinions on the current state of the club, whatever you want to talk about, be it the players, be it the team in general, Messi, competitions, or anything, Bartomeu, whatever's on your mind or currently ongoing, just let me know. Theo, do you want to go first on personal opinions about the current state of the club or anything regarding the club that wasn't already mentioned here?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that, Bryan. So, well, like we already all know, basically our state of the club right now is pretty much horrendous. So many out of the blue signings, kind of like with Griezmann and even Coutinho back in the days, and it's pretty much in shambles. Like it seems that the board is not competent enough for a club as big as Barça. It just destroys our legacy. Cruyff, Guardiola, and others, who have worked years to build what Barça is today. It's just saddening to see how our club is literally falling to the ground, and it seems that we're not getting back up anytime soon. When you see a club like Real Madrid, who are literally in a transition phase and are doing so good, like at the beginning of the season, they were deemed an average squad. So many, like when Zidane just came back, they were in a transition phase and they were not supposed to be winning. And now they got a double domestic cup. So when you compare us to, for example, Real Madrid, we are nowhere near to like how they do that, And I think it's just I think we have to brace ourselves and hope that in the coming elections in 2021, we elect a competent leader in Laporta or Font, and hope that they will turn things around, because the way Bartomeu is leaving this club, it's just going to be awful. Like so many bad signings. There've been a few good ones, but so many bad signings and so many bad decisions, and it's just sad to see our club struggling this much, and players not wanting to play for Barca and players wanting to leave. Even Messi is on the verge of quitting because even he can't deal with that anymore. So it's like I said, we have to brace ourselves and as we say, pray for the best and expect for the worst, basically.
Well, thank you, Theo, for your opinions. What about you, Adeeb?
I mean, there's a lot I could say, but the main root of the issues the club faces right now is the board. I think that board needs to go as soon as possible. I don't see elections somehow happening this summer, but they are due next summer. So hopefully, like you mentioned, there's Victor Font, Laporta. Either of those two could be better. I'm not sold yet fully on Victor Font. Mainly he's all talk for now. Who knows, maybe he will be a great president if he gets elected. Laporta, on the other hand, has actually proved himself before. So let's see. I'd want Xavi as a coach, mainly because I feel like the board needs a coach who they will respect. With Setien, they can easily control him. And I think the same was under Valverde. I feel like if Xavi would come in as a coach, they would actually listen to him in terms of transfers and everything else. Those are my thoughts on the club. The main issue right now is the board. We could have all the managerial changes we want, but if that board isn't out of the picture, our club is doomed.
Hey, so I joined kind of late, but I thought I'd give my 2 cents on things. Just briefly. So I don't really care about losing the league. I said it from the minute Setien signed with the club. Even if he flopped, he did it with a rusty side that's played dead football for months, if not years. And then you had the long break due to the pandemic. That didn't help either. Give Setien at least next season, and then we'll look forward from there, because we've got the elections next year as well. And you have to remember that the players are still, they're adapting to a new side of play, because other than Messi, Piqué, the majority haven't played in a system like Setien had at Betis. That's all I really need to say. I think we should move on to a couple of questions that the followers of the page have asked. Okay, so we've got a couple of questions. There's a good one right here. Let's go to Matthew first. So you can keep 2 players and you can dump 2 players. So the 4 players are Garcia, Araujo, Todibo, and Torres. Keep 2, dump 2, consider the financial benefits and their abilities. So we go to Matthew first.
Okay, I would keep Pau Torres and Eric Garcia and ditch Todibo and Araujo.
All right, okay. Theo, how about you?
I would actually keep Todibo and Torres and sell or ditch Garcia and Araujo.
All right, okay, interesting. We've got another question. We'll go to Adeeb for this one. Do you think Barcelona is ready to challenge the league and Champions League this coming decade? And have they done enough, or are they doing enough to invest in players that would allow them to do so?
For the coming decade, I don't see us challenging for the Champions League. I do see us challenging for the league as long as we have Messi, mainly because it's hard to beat Messi over a 38-game season.
Yeah.
I feel like if he wasn't injured for the first month and a half, we would have won the league this year. So the only reason I see us competing for the league is because of Messi. But if we make the right signings and stuff, then we could also further strengthen our chance of winning the league and possibly even the Champions League. But as of right now, the league, yes, the Champions League, no.
We've got another question, and we go to Matthew for this one. The question is, why did Coutinho, Griezmann, and Arthur flop? Especially Coutinho and Arthur. They were the perfect fit for the club. Even Frankie de Jong isn't playing the football of his level. What exactly is wrong?
Well, it's been always really difficult for any new player to adapt to Barcelona in his first season, even the best of ones. Thierry Henry suffered in his first season. It was really mediocre-ish season, even Abidal at the same season. I think that Frankie has been playing really well. Not at the level of Ajax, of course, but he's been playing very well. Arthur as well, he's been improving, but he's been really inconsistent. As for Coutinho, I think it's due to his inability to play as a central midfielder, as an interior. Much like players like Isco or James, they just don't know how to play there. They only play in advanced positions. And we couldn't have afforded to put him in the position he actually wants to play in. And not to mention the mental aspect. Coutinho, after joining Barcelona, was destroyed mentally. The man scored against Manchester United and actually plugged his ears while the crowd were chanting his name and supporting him. That's a sign of mental weakness. As for Griezmann, it's really obvious that he's not playing in his favorite position behind the striker. We don't play a 4-4-2, or we don't anymore after Valverde departed. But I think he will adapt next season in a role that's shaped to his qualities, playing one-touch football, associative football, and making runs into the box for Messi's passes.
Right, okay. We've got one more question, and I thought I'd kind of answer this one. And the question is, when will be the right time for Xavi to come to Barcelona? With Setien here, everyone is expecting Xavi to take over initially after Valverde was dismissed. I think give him one season with the youth clubs, and then we'll see from there. Because if Setien does well this coming season, if he wins at least the league or the Champions League, or even this season, then I think we ought to keep him for another year or two. And if Xavi is ready, by the time Setien is ready to go, then it should be fine. I think he should definitely be the follow-up from Setien. There's not really any other candidates. Pep is going to come back. He's going to go to the youth as well. So yeah, I think maybe within 2 or 3 years. Does anyone want to add to that?
I personally think that starting the not next season, the following one, if any coach who is at the helm, whether it is Setien, Pimenta, anyone, I don't care, if they fail to deliver the type of football we seek as fans and titles at the same time,
Yeah.
just give Xavi the job. We really never had an elite coach who's won us the Champions League. Johan Cruyff only had 1 season playing in the Champions League with Ajax before joining us.
Yeah.
Luis Enrique, Pep Guardiola, they never played the Champions League before joining Barcelona, so that doesn't really matter. Xavi is playing at Qatar, and he's shaping his ideas with excellent players actually for the level of the continent. And like Akram Afif, Gabi, this season they signed Cazorla. He's shaping his ideas and playing on many fronts. So why shouldn't we give him a chance to implement his ideas? As long as, of course, we give him the power to shape his own squad and not limit him like we did to Kike Setien and Ernesto Valverde and other coaches.